he's going to have a 4x4 and off-road, and he's going to have to turn into a sports car. That's going to be a transition that's going to be interesting here. What is up, everybody? It is Jake with Master of Football, back at it again. Happy Monday. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to be up to date on all things college football, EA college football, pro football, Madden, anything related to American football, hit that red subscribe button. You will not be disappointed. Hit the like button too. Share it. Won't cost you anything. All it's going to cost you is being up to date on all of those things related to football. Without further ado, let's get into the video. All right, guys. Crazy weekend of football here. Army-Navy happened. Crazy overtime there. Caleb Williams won the Heisman. And then it looks like Mike Leach right now is in the hospital in a serious situation. So hopefully Mike Leach is okay. And again, I'm filming this ahead of time, so whatever happens there, I apologize. But there was an interesting coaching hire over the weekend here, because if you look at it, there's a couple of programs out there that are true enigmas. And not necessarily enigmas in the fact that you can't understand them, but they're enigmas in the fact that, like, it's super hard to be good there, but if you can be good there. As an example, one of those programs is Stanford. Stanford, David Shaw took over for Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh was very successful there, turned that team into a real bully, really two backs, tight ends, come right down the throat at you. There's a lot of tight ends in the NFL right now that are ex-Stanford guys. I know Notre Dame and Stanford kind of battled for that, for who was tight end you for a while there. Iowa has their case too. But for the most part, man, you can see the fact that Stanford they've still maintained that smash mouth, solid quarterback kind of pro-style situation, but they just haven't been able to produce the results they wanted to. So recently, David Shaw has stepped down, and they've decided to go out into the FCS ranks to find their new coach. And that story is right here. Stanford names Sacramento State's Troy Taylor as new football coach. Now you're like, Troy Taylor? Who the heck is that guy? We're going to get into that here in a second. Sacramento State's Troy Taylor has been named the new football coach at Stanford, the school announced on Saturday. Taylor, who graduated from Cal, we got a Cal Bear in the house, coaching Stanford, has been the coach at Sacramento State since 2019. The Hornets were upset by Incarnate Word in the first quarterfinal round of the FCS playoffs on Friday night, paving the way for Taylor's move to Stanford. By the way, that game was 63-60 in 66-63 in without overtime. So it was absolutely a crazy high-scoring game. But we get over here to see what was said from Taylor. He says, "I am thrilled to be the new head football coach at Stanford University. The opportunity to lead the finest student athletes in the country is a true dream come true. And I would like to thank President Tessier Levine, Provost Drell, and Bernard Muir. I hope I said that right. I believe that Stanford football is perfectly positioned to become champions on the football field while maintaining our world-class reputation for academic excellence." Taylor, 54, is a two-time Big Sky Conference Coach of the Year, 2019 and 2021, won the 2019 Eddie Robinson Award as FCS Coach of the Year, and was a finalist again this year after leading his team to a 12-0 record before Friday's loss. "I'm excited to welcome Troy and his family to Stanford," Director of Athletics Bernard Muir said in a statement. "Troy is a proven winner who has experienced success at many levels of football. Throughout our visits together, he demonstrated an understanding of what makes Stanford special and a deep desire to capitalize on our unique strengths. He possesses that incredible football mind and has a long history of caring deeply for our student athletes he leads. I'm excited for the next chapter of Cardinal football and eager for our student athletes to experience Troy's passion, wisdom, and leadership." The Stanford job opened up when David Shaw resigned. He was the winningest coach in Stanford history. Former Dallas Cowboys coach Jason Garrett was reportedly interested but removed himself from consideration on Thursday. So who's this Troy Taylor guy? So you come over to his Wikipedia page, and I'm telling you right here. So, Rancho Cordova High School, or Cordova High School in Rancho Cordova, California. College, Cal. Played in the NFL for a couple years, 90 to 91. Was a practice squad or off-season guy in 1993 for the Miami Dolphins. And then he started getting the coaching ranks. Been in the coaching ranks since 1994 as an offensive coordinator for Orangevale High School and worked his way up. Colorado GA, California wide receivers coach, California QB coach, California tight ends coach, Sacramento Christian Brothers High School head coach, assistant coach, Folsom High School head coach from 2002 to 2004, Folsom High School co-head coach, Eastern Washington co-offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. Then we come down here to Utah offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach, and then we see his time at Sac State, 2019, 2021, and 22, and now he is the head coach at Stanford. So you come down here and see what he's done. So he had dang near instant success at Sacramento State. So they did not have a season because of the pandemic. But in 2019, he goes 9-4. They lost in the first round, or lost in the second round of the NCAA one Division One playoffs. And then we see here the fact he goes 8-0 in conference in the Big Sky Conference, 9-3 overall, first in the conference, and then lost in the second round. And then Sacramento State this last season, 12-0. 8-0, also with a big win against Colorado State. I know they're not a great program, but again, FCS, FBS, that's a big distinction there. And then they lose 66-63 versus Incarnate Word in the quarterfinals there. Really, really great. So comes in 9-4, 9-3, 12-1. Very successful coach for Sacramento State. And keep in mind here, this is not exactly a football power. I was able to check through here. So if you do this drop down, by the way, I could not find Sacramento State's record year over year. Just couldn't do it. So what I was able to do is come in here and find this out. If you come down here and you check out the years they had before, there's a couple times they've won 7 games. One, I think twice, 2 or 3 times they won 6. The rest of them were like 3-8, 2-10. They were not 3-9, 2-10, something like that. They were never really good. This is the year before he took over. They go 2 and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They cancel the game against Northern Arizona and 8. So let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 2-8. Not good at all. He gets there. Very first year, they go 9-4. Very, very successful team. This was this last season. You see the fact they play Utah Tech, and then they play at Northern Iowa. At Northern Iowa is not an easy place to play. At Colorado State, they win that game. Cal Poly, Northern Colorado. Man, they have a overtime win over Montana. Idaho used to be an FBS program. They come down here and they play Incarnate Word 66-63. You cannot blame the offense in that instance. And it's actually really interesting to see that because we are going to see a huge, huge, huge style difference between what Troy Taylor does and what David Shaw, Jim Harbaugh coaching trees have done, because Troy Taylor is an offensive innovator. This is a tweet here. It's got a really cool play you had here. So they're going to fake this little QB power, and they're going to have a little reverse on here. They're really, really creative plays that they call. This is a 2-point attempt against, Incarnate Word in that playoff game there. So you can see the fact that it's talked about Troy Taylor and G.J. Kinney dueling on insane play calls has just been incredible. So it was absolutely insane, the fact that this team, the offense is, how do I want to say this? It is a spread tempo. It's a spread, high tempo, RPO, run and pass based offense. Can do kind of both, which is why they actually kind of use 2 quarterbacks throughout the season. Here and you check their stats out. Then again, you see the fact quarterbacks, decent. Okay, so you got Jake Dunaway and Asher O'Hara. Asher O'Hara was the scrambler, whereas Dunaway was more of the thrower. Dunaway had 2,400 yards, 19 touchdowns, 15 picks. Not great. Only sacked 11 times. And then Asher O'Hara was only sacked 5 times. Had, He had 11 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. So you can tell that when they had a tough passing situation, they would put Dunaway in because O'Hara never really put the ball into coverage. I mean, that's my guess here. Obviously, his rating was much higher, but you can tell there's a reason why Dunaway still played was because he was given the more difficult passing situations as opposed to O'Hara might have had more of the running situations. You see, O'Hara had 938 rushing yards and 19 rushing touchdowns on the ground. Oh, my God. And then they had Cameron Scatabo, who has 1,300 yards, 7 yards a carry. So you can definitely tell that there's a lot of ingenuity with this offense. There's a reason why they were 12-0, and in the last game that they lost, they put up 63 points. You can definitely tell Troy Taylor, offenses of mind his whole entire career, very, very, has a good amount of ingenuity with his offense, creativity, and things like that. That is what's going to be coming. So if you think about that, that is absolutely crazy. So Stanford was this kind of like rough and tumble team under Jim Harbaugh, and then went over to David Shaw and kind of maintained that, but it kind of fell off. Like I said before, you can see this pocket of bowl games right here, and that's between the Jim Harbaugh end of his era and then the David Shaw beginning of his era. There's a couple of things down here. Tyrone Willingham had some okay seasons. Bill Walsh had 1 year when he went 10-3. Dennis Green was solid for okay. He had 1 year where he went to a bowl game. Jack Elway went 8-4. They really don't have a lot of amazing history. A couple of Rose Bowl here by John Ralston in the 70s. You see Chuck Taylor 9-2 this 1 year. The Clark Shaughnessy in the PCC in 1941, the Rose Bowl 10-0. So they haven't really had consistent, sustained success. The most successful period they had arguably was this period that just came up. Jim Harbaugh, David Shaw really, really did a good job with the team there, but kind of stagnated. Then again, these teams were built around, really good tight ends, running backs, Christian McCaffrey, Toby Gerhart, Bryce Love, lots of good players like that. Tight ends, they had solid quarterback play, really, really physical, would come right down the pipe and hit you in the face. Now that is going to change compared to what Troy Taylor does. So that's going to be crazy, okay? So the very first year, and I do think there's a couple of coaches, as an example, I think that, Lincoln Riley, he can come over and just change the team. He can bring in so many good recruits, brought over Mario Williams, Caleb Williams, brought over Jordan Addison from Pitt. So he can really come in there and change a lot of people quickly. It's going to be more difficult for Troy Taylor. He can't exactly corner the market on a lot of, transfer portal players because you have to get accepted to Stanford. It's a very, very difficult requirement there with that. They have very, very high academic requirements. Anybody that says, oh, yeah, well, this school has academic requirements, that one does. They do, not compared to Stanford, okay? It's freaking Stanford. So Troy is going to have to work with that. However, he's going to have a 4x4, an off-road, and he's going to have to turn into a sports car. That's going to be a transition that's going to be interesting here. Remember, up-tempo, still could run the ball. They're not going to not go away from running the ball, but up-tempo, lots of RPOs, lots of action, lots of creativity. There's lots of things that you're going to have to work with as opposed to the slow it down, smash mouth, fullback, 2 tight ends, come right at you. That kind of football is, I don't want to say going away, but you can definitely tell that there is going to be a transition. I'm really interested to see what he can do. Troy, if he can be successful at Stanford, he goes to a bigger school. Again, he might be in the situation where it's kind of like Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly was at Notre Dame. Notre Dame was really successful. He just had a hard time recruiting really good talent in Notre Dame because Notre Dame's academic requirements. Then a $100 million deal comes from LSU, and he leaves. I think that Troy Taylor, I don't know if he's going to leave or stay at Stanford forever, but I do think he's an interesting hire. I'm really interested to see what he does. And again, he took over Sacramento State, and they were terrible. Really not that good of a football program. Has 3 of their best seasons they've ever had in the last couple of years. We'll see what he can do at Stanford, man, but I am interested in watching this one. All right, guys, get in the comments right now. What do you guys think about that situation? I'm telling you, the Pac-12, Deion Sanders, Troy Taylor, they're trying now. Okay, a lot of people for a couple years they're like, man, the Pac-12 is sorry football. Pac-12 is sorry football. And even as USC and UCLA kind of turned it around there, heading out the door, I do think that the Pac-12 is taking football more seriously. And the Pac-12 has to be thrilled about the playoff, automatic bid, things like that. They've got a lot to look forward to. We'll see what he can do, man, but I'm excited about Troy Taylor. You tell me if you are or not in the comments right now. Let me know. All right, guys, that's it. Thank you so much for being here. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. I really appreciate it. I'll see you guys later. I am out.